I want to focus for a second on the abduction, trafficking, and indoctrination of the Ukrainian children, because that kind of evil is beyond unspeakable. It's beyond disgusting, and a lot of people aren't talking about it. We see a lot of influencers and channels talking about everything but this, and I cannot think of the last time this kind of evil was implemented where not only are civilians being bombed relentlessly, but the children are being taken away, put into indoctrination camps, and beyond what we saw investigated by that European journalist, Lord knows what they're being subjected to. They're probably going to be sent to the front lines. There's already reports that that has been happening, and I'm just beyond blown away. When was the last time we saw this kind of evil being done?
The Turkish Sultanate did this. They were called, I think they were called Janissaries. They would capture Christian children after slaughtering their parents. They would indoctrinate them into Islam and they would turn them into fanatical Islamic warriors. Okay.
But we have to go. So this is the Ottoman Turk Empire.
The Ottoman Turks, yeah, they did this. Now, the Ottoman Turks are pretty savage. I mean, when the Ottoman Turks invaded Europe towards the beginning of the 16th century, they, for example, took Hungary. They waved over what is today Romania, and they took Hungary. And they went to the gates of Vienna all the way. But when they took Hungary, they took 1 million Hungarians as slaves and brought them to the slave markets of Cairo and Istanbul and Baghdad and so on. This is, you talk about slavery, 1 million people dragged from Europe into slavery into the Muslim world. And that's not that long ago. 500 years is not that long ago. My grandmother lived, to be 103. So that's just 5 times my grandmother's lifespan. That's not that long ago, right? You could have 5 lives overlapping and end up with that, 5. So that's not that long ago. But it's very savage, very, very savage. You had, it's recorded that Nebuchadnezzar, King Nebuchadnezzar, who sacked Jerusalem in I think the early 6th century BC, I think 585 BC, I think around there, he took Jerusalem. He took a lot of the young people back to Babylon as slaves. And of course, he castrated the boys because he didn't want them to have children. But he wanted their brain power, he wanted their education, he wanted their knowledge. So, yeah, but these are very savage rulers. These are very brutal rulers. The Assyrians and Babylonians were really brutal. The West has always had a sort of a different standard. You go back to Herodotus, who recounted the wars between the Persian Empire and the Greeks, and saying it's a war between freedom and slavery. The first kind of big war between the East and the West was the Persian Wars, and the Greeks won, and ultimately under Alexander the Great conquered the Persians. But the West had always these democratic institutions. We always had voting. Whether it was Greece or Rome or ancient Scandinavia, the Gauls, the Germans, the early Britons, they all had collegial institutions. This is not, you go to these Eastern places and they've got kings, right? Emperors. They've got really, really authoritarian systems. You go all the way to China, the Mongols, and Russia. And so there is this long-term East-West theme here, going back 2,500 years or more, where there is a real difference between the West and the East, between Europe and people of European background and Asiatics. And one of the things, Colonel Lunev told me, and other Russians will say, no, you don't understand. Russia is not really European. It's Asiatic.